In this episode, I answer a question from a massage therapist who is having trouble with a client who wants them to fix multiple problems in a single session, but is unwilling to book a longer treatment time. Welcome back to the Soft Tissue Treatment Revolution podcast, where we teach overworked massage therapists a new treatment method that cuts session times in half and eliminates the frustration of inconsistent results so they can avoid burnout and help more people get out of pain. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the show. All right, so the question came from Nick from Texas. He is in year 11 in practice and he focuses on helping people who are injured and in pain. The question was, let me read it here. I have had several clients over the years who have come to me with a laundry list of problems and want me to work on everything in one single treatment session. Recently, I have been working with a client who wants me to do 4 to 5 problem areas per session. And when I told him it would be best to book a longer session, either a 90-minute or 120-minute session, he said all he could afford right now is the 60-minute session. I am finding myself getting frustrated when working on them because I'm working too fast and trying to get through everything to appease them, which is making me not want to work with them anymore. How do I get my client to let me focus on 1 or 2 problem areas per session instead of feeling like I'm working on everything? Thanks so much for sending that question in. Just a quick reminder, I do love doing these episodes. So if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, send them my way. And if I think I can help, I'll get an episode out to you. The information to submit your question is in our profile or wherever you're consuming this episode. So, a couple concepts here before I kind of break this whole thing down. Number one is what's happening in this situation, and it happens a lot, is you're being stuck in what I call a beta trap. So, it was a really awesome book. It's called Pitch Anything by a guy named Oren Klaff, and he talks about in any situation, someone has to be the alpha and someone has to be the beta. And when you're the alpha, you basically get to decide what happens. And a lot of times when we get stuck in what I call like this service based mentality, and I was like this for years as well in my own practice, we get stuck in this service mentality where we feel like we have to appease the client and do whatever they say. And essentially the client is kind of dictating treatment. They decide time, they kind of gripe with you about costs, and they tell you what and where to treat, and then you get stuck in that beta trap, and then it really just kind of angers you and makes you feel the way that Nick is feeling in this situation. So don't get stuck in that trap. Next is just this idea, and I talk about this so much, is like selling your time instead of focusing on results. The best analogy I give for this is if you're working in chronic pain and injuries, think of it as like you go to the dentist and you got a bad tooth that needs to be drilled and it needs to be fixed. Say the dentist books out an hour to do the drilling, but they fix your tooth in 20 minutes. You're not going to be like, hey, doc, tooth feels great, but I booked a whole 60 minutes. So I need you to get in there and drill some other teeth so I get my money's worth. You want to really focus on the results as opposed to the time spent. And I always say if you can fix a problem better and faster than anyone else, you're way more valuable. Once again, going back into that service versus solutions and appeasement problem, when you're stuck in that service mentality, you do what they want when they want. You don't want to piss them off. You don't want them to leave. And then you're really struggling. And then you get into this situation. So, how would you solve this? I get this a lot in my practice as well when people do reach out and say they do have multiple problems or multiple issues they want to work on. From a treatment dosage as well, I find that really only working on one problem at a time is all the body can really handle. I tend to work more on the chronic pain side of things where people are having a lot of issues. So we want to really focus on that one area so it doesn't cloudy what we do. So I ask them a magic wand question. I say, all right, so if I had a magic wand and I could take away one of those issues, like which one would you want me to start with? So what this does is it allows the client to feel like they're in control of the situation and they get to pick, but they have to pick because at the end of the day, we can't work on so many things in such a short amount of time because the body just can't handle it. So then I also explain to them why we can only treat one problem at a time. I talk about this idea of like a cavity. We got to go in there, drill the cavity out. We don't need to treat everything else in the same day. Even when you go to the dentist and say you're getting like a root canal or you're getting a cavity drilled out, they don't also do like a deep cleaning that day. They just do that thing. And then I always talk about this idea of like treatment dosage and an antibiotic analogy. So say you have an infection, you go to the doctor says you need to take 10 days worth of antibiotics. You don't take all 10 pills on that one day. You spread it out over that as well. So treatment dosage is really important in this situation as well. And a lot of times we make this mistake, and I did for years as a manual therapy provider, is I thought that I could either treat them and they would be better, or I would treat them and nothing would change. I never considered that I could over treat. And a lot of times when people have chronic problems, they don't just have soft tissue related problems, they might have degeneration in the discs and the joints and the tendons as well. And an aggressive, like long drawn out treatment can actually do more harm than good. Next is this is going to really help you kind of crush that beta trap, and getting stuck into that beta trap is, I call it establishing the doctor frame. So he talks about in the book this idea, the only thing that can crush like a beta frame is actually the doctor frame. So he uses an example, like say the president of the United States has to go into get a colonoscopy, and he goes into the doctor there. In that place, the doctor is in charge because that's his area of expertise. It doesn't matter that it's the president, they're in charge. So for you as well, it's understanding that you are the problem solver. They came to you for a specific reason because you have a certain set of skills that can actually help it and fix it. You're an expert, you're a solutions provider. They're not going to be telling you what to treat, where to treat, when they want to come in, everything like that. They're just going to be glad that they found you and that you can actually help fix their problem. So how do you establish this in the very beginning? It starts with your content, the content that you put out there. Like explain to people how you are a problem solver, what you can do to help, why you actually solve problems, instead of just like putting like general things out there like, oh, get this relaxation massage or this recovery thing. It's very clear about what you do and how you can help. Next is how you evaluate the client. Don't just jump right into a treatment process. What we teach in our system is like a full history, a full consultation, a full in-depth, thorough evaluation to understand what's going on. And throughout the process, we're always educating them about what we're doing, what to expect, what they can do, what they can't do. It's really going to help them see this all the way through. And then lastly is just, how do you actually set up a treatment plan? None of this one-off treatments like, hey, let's try something and see what happens. Like for me, when a client comes in, I take them through a full evaluation, a full treatment, a full idea, and then I form a treatment plan. We have a treatment plan because we're trying our best to see this as a process, not just this one-off thing. Because if we can actually see it through, you show the client you have a plan, you show them that you're a true expert at what they do, you're going to be amazed at what they're going to listen to, how they're going to see the process through and actually get really awesome results. And this is exactly what we help you learn and implement in any of our training programs. Just a little plug there. If you on the fence and you're thinking, hey, I want to do things differently, that's exactly what we show. So great question, John. Very common from what we see. I appreciate you sending this question in, and I hope this episode helped. And as I close out every episode, go out there and be great this week. The world needs access to your amazing treatment so they can stay the hell away from the traditional medical model of pain pills, injections, and surgeries that only make things worse and definitely ruins people's lives. I appreciate you listening to the episode, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.